Before 1988, the draft was 10 rounds long. That led to stupid draft choices like Hawks GM Pat Williams' newborn baby. And the Sixers picked a 47-year-old pharmacist. If I was alive them times, I reckon I could be Wilt Chamberlain, I'm just saying. In 1988, however, this was reduced to 3 rounds, and in 1989, it was cut down to 2 rounds that we see today. In 2015, the Denver Nuggets selected with the 41st overall pick, the 11th of the second round, a man who changed the center position and basketball forever. The man is unstoppable. But where does Nikola Jokic rank amongst the best defensive centers of all time? My name is LQ, and let's talk about it. A couple videos ago, we looked at advanced stat. Quick throwback to that episode. At a different advanced stat called VORP. One was an advanced stat we called PER, the player efficiency rating. Now the player efficiency rating is a catch-all term, like we said, that takes the average rating for each player across their career. Usually they would say that the PER isn't defensively accounting enough because there's not enough stats for defense. But since we're looking at how good Jokic is offensively, it's only right we look at the PER. So in PER rankings across their career, our number 1, Michael Jordan, obviously. Number 2 isn't LeBron James. Number 3 is LeBron James. But our number 2 is Nikola Jokic. Now, we already know that Nikola Jokic is one of the best passers of all time, and without a doubt, the best passing center of all time. Here are examples A, B, C, and D.
7-second difference between the shot and game clock. Jokic on the roll, kicks it out. Barton for 3, the dagger! Will Barton!
Nikola Jokic in the middle of the floor with options, vision, and skill. 2-man game. They've worked it all year, these two. Jokic always going to make the right decision. Steph, on the weak side of the floor, gets
9 and 3 at home. Oh, look at that pass. Look at that. What did we just see there? My goodness. Woo, it's a circus. Comes number 2, but between his legs, right through the wicket.
That's an unbelievable pass. Here's the thing. Jokic saw this play before he even caught the ball, so it was just a matter of delivering, and Bruce Brown on a great cut.
That was amazing.
The reigning MVP, but he might be the greatest big man passer of all time. As the Nuggets were playing the Spurs, look at this dime that Nikola throws to Michael Porter Jr., who actually misses the shot. And the Joker's the MVP of the league. He's like, I got to do everything. I got to pass it to myself and score. He actually grabs the offensive board and goes and one. I mean, obviously, this is a guy that can get you a triple-double on any given.
Murray in the post-up position. Turn at the base. Jokic underneath the corner. Hey! Wow. Puts it in there. Wow. A laser beam. Yeah, on this pass.
It was like Justin Verlander the other night. I had some heat on it. I mean, doesn't he put his other hand on it, and it fires it to Porter Jr. underneath. It's great.
Now the question that it comes down to is how good is Nikola Jokic offensively altogether? Give me the best 4 centers of all time. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain, Shaquille O'Neal, and Hakeem Olajuwon. All of these amazing offensively in their own right. And on this side, Nikola Jokic. Now at first, Jokic looks tiny compared to them, absolutely tiny. But when you look closer at the stats, it might be a bit closer than you like to think it is. Now the first stat we're going to look at is the offensive rating. The offensive rating gives a player's stat for if they're on the floor for 100 possessions, how many points will their team score? Now across their careers, Nikola Jokic's offensive rating is 124. Kareem's offensive rating is 115.5. Wilt's, I'm not gonna lie, I've got no idea what Wilt says because I couldn't find any stats, but none of his teams ever had an offensive rating of above 105, so we're just going to put it at around 105. Shaq's is 112.8 and Hakeem Olajuwon's is 103.8. Okay, so Jokic wins the first round against the other centers, but now instead let's take a look back and say that Jokic, the pacing is higher right now, teams score more points. So when he's on the floor, his team will score more points than a player like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, where the pacing wasn't as high. Let's look at one more stat called the offensive box plus minus. We know that the box plus minus gives you the impact of a player being on the floor and how their team performs. The higher the plus, it means their team is even better when they're on the floor. But offensive box plus minus is only the offensive impact they have when they're on the floor. So, in the OBPM, of course, number 1 and number 2 are Michael Jordan and LeBron James. But number 3 is Nikola Jokic. He's starting to build a case for himself. Does that mean he's the best offensive player of all time besides LeBron James and Michael Jordan? But there's one big difference that Nikola Jokic has with all the rest of these centers on this list. With every Jokic stat, with every Jokic advanced stat, with Jokic's 2 MVPs, with everything that comes with it, the main problem with Nikola Jokic is he hasn't won. Across his career since 2015, he hasn't won anything. He's won a few playoff series, but in terms of hardware, in terms of real championships, he hasn't won any. He's okay in the playoffs, but the difference between him and these players is players like Shaquille O'Neal turn it up in the playoffs. They go to another level, but we haven't seen Jokic turn it up to another level. The main reason for that is his team hasn't been there when he needs them in the playoffs. But this season might be different. Simply put, I want to put Jokic in one of my best offensive players, period. Whether it be centers, forwards, guards, anything. But he needs to win something. He has a chance this year, but I guess we'll see. The year is 2023. Jokic is the current MVP. He won last year's MVP, and he's my favorite to win this year's MVP. He's an offensive marvel. He has passes out of this world, a mid-range game that's elite, post moves that are supreme. But will he be the greatest offensive center of all time? I guess we've got to see. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and thank you for watching. Boom.